installment of my Rustic Harvest Workshop series. Today will be the conclusion of this series, and I will share how to create these types of cards using different embossing techniques. We're going to be using, for these, on these sleeves, we're going to work with the basic white, or it's called Whisper White, craft ink, and we're going to stamp in white and then cover it with clear embossing powder. So that's one technique with the clear embossing powder. Then we're going to do the same thing with clear Versamark ink and then use white embossing powder over the top of it. So you'll get the chance to use a couple different embossing techniques. Then, as promised, I told you I would show you this rustic pumpkin. I'm going to call it the Gingham Cottage pumpkin because we're going to finish off this pumpkin using the Gingham Cottage paper. So this is the first time in this series we're using paper from a different designer series paper pack. But I think making pumpkins was the most fun. Well, except for the emboss resist technique, which I think was the most fun. The second most fun thing we did in the series was creating these 3D pumpkins. So we'll be creating some more pumpkins. And then finally, I'll show you how to put these cards together. We'll do some inking on the background. This will be a little bit longer than our normal videos, but we will then get to create a lot of cards, do a lot of crafting, and we're going to be concluding the series today. Because I have already started the next series, and that next series, if you haven't been checking it out already, it's on the Jingle, Jingle, Jingle stamp set. So be sure to check out that series. At the end of this video, I'll show you all the projects we created using Rustic Harvest. If you haven't already picked this up, now's the time to get it. You can make lots of Thanksgiving cards, cards for fall. If you get this entire suite, you're going to see that you're going to get this fun Embossing Editions toolkit, which includes this tray that we'll be using, the little brush, these fun heavy-duty tweezers, and an embossing buddy. This suite also has the leaf label and amber gem pack. We are going to be doing things with these leaves today, and I think I might be out of amber gems, but we'll just use some other bling instead. Like, you can use this bling. These are the metallic little copper blobs. They're not called blobs. I'm calling them blobs. I forget the name of them. And we're gonna be embossing onto these leaves. This suite also includes the Rustic Harvest paper, the black cardstock, and Hello Harvest stamp set, which is a cling stamp set, and the Rustic Harvest dies. Rustic pumpkin dies. Well, we'll see. We'll use them in a moment. Here they are. The Rustic pumpkin dies. All right, so let's get crafting. I may have to locate my Rustic pumpkin dies. Okay, I thought I put them close. Here they are. Okay, so let's open up. Things got mixed in with the Rustic pumpkin dies. Stylish Shapes dies. And there goes the Stylish Shapes dies. All right, well, when we get to that, we'll be ready, because we're going to be doing embossing first. So now to emboss, and take out our embossing tray, and we're going to do the craft white ink technique first. And you can use both techniques, use whatever you have. You're just going to try different techniques. Now, let's open up it says Whisper White, so we're going to open this up, and the ink pad looks kind of funky, like it's been, faded, right? So it doesn't hold ink very well. This ink is it's goo. It's very viscous. So you're going to open up the Whisper White ink, and you're going to put a few drops. And if you don't, you're going to see that from the last time you used it, it dried out. So I'm going to show you how to kind of refill it. Now, don't refill the whole thing because it's a complete waste of ink if you're going to refill the whole thing. Only fill it as wide as you need it for the stamp. So let's just take out the stamp, and I'll show you that. We're going to be using this Hello stamp. So you're going to put the Hello stamp. It's a cling stamp, and it already sticks. So you're going to put that on a stamping block. I'll just put it at an angle here, like that. We're going to be using this stamping block C. So you see, I don't need more ink than that area that's going to cover that. So we're just going to go ahead and, it's even hard to get the ink out because it's not like regular ink. This is more like paint, which is kind of fun. And then I told you to, when you go to try out your ice cream samples, to save those little spoons. We'll use that to kind of put to spread the ink around. So here's a little spoon, and you're going to just flatten it out like that. I think I might need a little bit more. Okay, so that's good. You're going to get to see because I'll put it on the silicone mat for you to see it. All right, so that's good. Cover that ink, spread that out. All right, now we will go ahead and stamp the hello, and then we'll stamp it on here. Okay, good. It's getting really good coverage. Yay. So that will be good. And then we'll cover that one with the clear embossing powder to make it. So it's very sticky already. It's sticky like Versamark. Let me flip it over. And then you're going to be able to, that clear embossing powder is going to attach to it. So let's get that ready. We'll get ready. We'll use our embossing buddy. We'll get ready with our little spoon. Here's another spatula. So we're going to be using these leaves to stamp onto. So we're going to emboss buddy the leaves. That keeps the powder in all the right places. Keeps the powder from spreading out and sticking on the places we don't want it to. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that embossing buddy over these areas. Now we're going to use our tray for our clear. So we'll get our clear ready. Here's our clear. We're going to open that up. Okay, it says clear. It doesn't look clear, but it is clear. So we're going to open that up. Put that up over there for a moment. So we're all ready to go. And we have our heat tool. So you're going to need your heat tool. And I hope you're crafting along with me because it makes it more fun. And you're going to learn more by crafting along with me than you are just watching. So now we have this. So we're going to stamp. So I always stamp onto like the mat first just to make sure that I have good coverage. And in this case, I already stamped onto there. So now we're going to go ahead and stamp onto our leaves. To get the hello to fit onto the leaf, you need to put it at an angle. Ooh la la. And that's already really cool. So you could just heat set that because if you don't, it's going to run. But when you put clear embossing powder over it, which you need to do right away before you move on, you don't need to heat it right away. You need to put the powder on right away. So because that will stick to the sticky white craft ink. Okay, you turn it over and you go choo-choo-choo. Okay, good. And it'll come clear. Now we're going to heat that up in a moment. Let's not heat it up right now because we're going to do the other two. Then I can move the powder out of the way when we heat these up. Okay, let's heat. I'm going to go like that. Ooh la la. And it's just nice and gooey and nice and sticky, nice and gooey. Oops, I was about to dump that onto my white. And if that gets like, see how there's a little bit extra outside the boundary? I'm just going to use my finger now. It's okay though, it will heat set in there. Oops. You want to get off any extras before you start heating because once you heat them, it permanently sticks on the paper. Okay, nice. Put that one over there and we're going to do one more. Reinforcement. Okay. Tap it off. Before I put the clear and powder on there, I'm just kind of pushing. It's supposed to be double lined. So, I mean, the stamp actually has a double line. So it's okay. I'm just going to go ahead and put the powder on it. You already saw me do that. Put that up there. All right. Now, now that the powder's on, I can heat them up later. But you want to take your powder and at least close the lid because you have to move it to away from your heat tool. We can close this. We're done with the craft ink. We can do a couple more things. Like we heat that one later. I'm going to get a baby wipe and just get rid of the craft ink because we're going to be using Versamark next. We're doing a different technique next, but we need the same stamp. So you got to clear this off. And that way it'll dry a little bit before I get to the next part. Okay. It's really sticky, gooey. Let's get rid of all this. And then sometimes to dry it, you can sort of tap it onto your mat. And we can even use our heat tool to dry our stamp a little bit, but not too much because it'll mess up your rubber. Where the rubber meets the road. All right, we're going to go ahead and put our tweezer on here. And we're going to move the embossing powder out of the way. I'll show you how to put it back in its container so we can use it later. So turn this on, heat it up a little bit, or just let it heat up as it's hitting your ink. But I use highs. I use the high setting, and I use a circular motion. After I get it heated up, I start using a circular motion. And it transforms. So it's going to be putting like a glossy coating onto our white, which is what we want. Then it looks like, ooh, how did they do that? When someone gets your card, that's what they ask themselves. You want people to ask themselves, how did she do that? How did he do that? See, see the glossy covering? In this case, it gets a little bit lighter when you emboss it. Okay, see if I have a good angle. There you go. See it? It's like a plastic coating. Love it. Now we're going to put these other ones off to the side because you don't need to wait for me to heat them. But I just wanted to show you before and after. So that see how if you don't emboss it, you could heat set just the white. But if you emboss it, you get that whole nice shimmery look. So put these off to the side and heat them later. Once you get the powder on them, you can heat them much later. I'm going to bring this back and show you how to let's get rid of the basic white, it's called craft white ink. We're going to get rid of this. Make room for our clear embossing powder technique. But for our white embossing powder technique. So what we need to do is get the clear embossing powder back into the bottle, or back into the container. So you're going to open, and don't worry, and the reason I'm doing clear first is because if a little bit of white gets mixed in with the clear, it's no big deal. But I didn't want to work with the copper and the black powders in the same video as I was working with the clear powders so you're going to tap, turn it and tap, tap, tap to vibrate your tray, like that. And then you're going to get your little brush. Brusher. You're going to brush it in to the container like that. Now, so it doesn't matter if you use clear first and then some white gets mixed in with the clear. It's all good. But you don't want to, if I would have used like black first and then white, there would have been a black on the tray unless I washed the tray and dry it. I'm almost thinking I need a couple more of these trays because then I don't have to put everything away to change and then wash it all off to change to the next color. But you can use clear before you use anything else. Then you can use the next color, and it doesn't matter if a little clear gets mixed in with any color. But, of course, you can't use copper and then black and then white because then you'd end up having you try to put it back in the white bottle, and you have little specks of other colors in the white bottle. All right, there you go. So good enough. Be sure to put your cap back on, not just that cap, but this cap. So now let's use the white embossing powder. I put that over there. Way far away. Far, far away. Get some more leaves. Get your embossing buddy. Put your embossing buddy over your leaves. Okay, and now you want Versamark ink. We'll go ahead and show you how to do that refill too because this whole series was about embossing. And in case you missed it, we did it, I think, in video 1. Okay, I'm just going to put the cards we're making back over here so you could see them. Over there off to the side. Okay, now we're going to just kind of put a few drops of this. This is also really gooey, the Versamark ink. I call this my invisible ink. So it's a goo, goo, goo. So you want to spread that around with those little spatulas you save from ice cream stores or trying on lip gloss at Bath & Body Works or one of those places, right? They give you the little spatula, and they have to throw it away because they can't let the next person use it. So they give you this little thing for a sample, and instead of them taking it out of your hand to throw it away, you're like, oh, no, that's okay. I'm still just rubbing the lip gloss on my lips. And then you definitely try on the lip gloss because it's fun, right? I feel pretty. Oh, so pretty. And then after you try on your lip gloss, wipe it off and put it in your pocket, and then you have it for all your little crafts because this is the best little spatula ever. Okay, we're going to just do the Versamark. We'll get to the powder in a minute. Let me just open up the white powder. See how nice that looks? I'm going to put that over there for a moment with my little spoon. All right. We're going to stamp the hello. I'm not sure how, if it's dry yet, but we'll go ahead and stamp hello onto my mat. I mean, it looks like it's good coverage. You can't see it because it's invisible. That's the whole point. Okay, see that? Now we're going to real quickly stick the powder onto it, the white powder. Notice I'm being very generous with the white powder to let it stick in all the right places. Turn it around, flick it off. Now get your take your pick tool or your little tweezers and get rid of any of these little white spots. Just rub them out. It's okay to have a speck of white here and a speck of white there, but if those little specks will permanently get heated up. Now you could also use your brush for this to get rid of the bigger white pieces. I think it's good though. Okay, I think I'm going to be happy with that. So now let's go ahead and do the second one. Let's put that over there. We'll heat set that in a moment. We have to do the next one. Tap, tap, tap. Add an angle. We might use some Versamark ink later for our pumpkin, but we still need to put it off to the side. And let's get that tray of white embossing powder. Let's go ahead and get our tweezers. Okay, that one pretty much all stuck in all the right places. I just get my nail in there or like I said, or my brush. Or this, sometimes I need to take your pick tool if it's just one little tiny bit of powder. You don't have to go this extra mile. It's going to pretty much be mostly where you put the powder. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close this one. Move the tray because I'm about to heat this. And I'll go ahead and heat set it. And you can watch the magic of transforming the heat embossing powder. Thank you, Beth Ebertson. She's saying, don't forget to like this video if you like these kinds of all-out crafting techniques where we cover how to make the cards from start to finish. That's what my workshop series are all about. How to do projects from start to finish. And at the end of this video, I'll show you all the projects we created in this series. Ooh la la, that's really drying nicely. And it's nice and thick too. Nice and sharp. But because it is white powder, you don't get as much detail on it. All right, great. And in case you missed that, I said you don't get as much detail on the white powder because it is really thick powder. Okay, let's go ahead and do the before and after so I could show you what it looks like before you heat set it and after you heat set it. And let's compare, in a minute, we'll compare this to the clear over the white ink. Let's stay focused and get this done. Okay, we're going to heat this up. We're going to have two that we did with white embossing powder, and then I'll show you the ones I did with white ink and clear embossing powder. And then depending on the effect you're going for, you could use whichever technique or a mix and match of both techniques. Look at that just magically transform as you heat it up. Love it. Sometimes if you get right in there before it's too hot, you can get those extra pieces. Oh, I love it. Now let's go ahead and compare. This is the white. It's the Versamark ink with the white embossing powder, and this is what we did earlier with the basic white or the clear craft white ink with a little clear embossing powder over it. Okay, this one has more detail. You could almost see the lines in the hello from the font. This one is more like when you use the white embossing powder, it's a little bit thicker. Okay, so you have two techniques there. You could try them both, and now you have them. And you can use white ink and white embossing powder. Good. That's for even thicker. Thank you, Janet. So she's saying go ahead and use. So we already had the clear ink So this was white ink with clear embossing powder. This was clear ink with white powder. And since we have Versamark on it, we could try the other way. And because we are crafters and we like to tinker, we're just going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so we're going to do what Janet is saying. Janet's on my team. Sharp cookie here. Let's go ahead and we'll just do white ink with white powder. So it's the third variation. So I'm just going to kind of get rid of whatever's on here. Just get it on my hand, right? I'm only doing it because I don't have to reset up, okay? We're doing white ink. It's going to be really thick, right? Because we're using white ink and white powder. So this is going to be really thick. Because we're going to have like lots of stuff. We're going to have this sticking, and then we have that sticking, and it's going to be really thick. So let's go ahead and grab a leaf and the embossing buddy. Tap, tap, tap. I think I already tapped it, but. Okay, white ink. Let's go ahead and put the tweezers on it. Craft white ink, white embossing powder. I'm glad I read the comment because usually I don't read them till later. For something said, just let me peek down at the comments. And I usually don't peek down at this point because I was in the zone. But I'm glad I did at that right moment because that means I could follow the suggestion right away. Here, let's try this. Okay. White embossing powder, move it over there. I'm moving it far away. It's melting away. Okay, super sharp. It's just much thicker. Okay, so we got. So we have. Let's start. Let's go back to the beginning. We have. This is our last one. We did white ink with clear embossing powder. Then we did clear ink with white embossing powder, and then we did white ink with white embossing powder. So it goes. So you could see the more detail, the more you add to it. This one has more detail and it looks more translucent. This one is a little bit not as thick, and then this one's a little bit thicker. But use what you have is always my motto. Use whatever you have. That's what you're going to be using for your crafts. All right, let's go ahead and get rid of this mat because we're going to need the other mat for some inking up. Okay, let's go ahead and put that down there. Let's see what I have for my inks. All right. Go ahead and do some more work. We're going to do some inking up for the paper. Pretty sure I already had some papers cut, and I found this little piece I had already started. So let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's use this piece here, some blending brushes, and we will just kind of blend the background. We're going to blend this so it looks like this. Okay, a little bit of pumpkin pie, crushed curry, Cajun craze, mossy meadow. So you want to color the background of your paper. Okay, this should be pumpkin pie. I already started pumpkin pie, but so we can continue pumpkin pie over there. I'm gonna go ahead and do Cajun craze first on the other end here. Turn that this way. So you're gonna put a little bit of ink on your stamping block to control how much ink goes on your blending brush. Otherwise, if you dip your brush straight into the ink, you don't know if you dipped into this giant blob. You don't know how much ink you're putting on your brush. So I always put a little blob on the paper and sort of control how much ink I put on my paper by just this rolling circular motion here. But I take it off my stamping block instead of taking it right off my ink pad. Okay. So we're just kind of doing in quadrants here. And I'm using these particular colors because they coordinate. Cajun craze, pumpkin pie, crushed curry, and mossy meadow. So I'm going to do pumpkin pie up on that end because I already started that one. So we'll just go ahead and do that next with the other end of the, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this, or not get rid of, but close it. I'm going to use the other side of the stamping block. See how much ink went on there? You can use the same blending brushes and just clear off the ink by rubbing it on the mat. But in this case, I just have one for my oranges, one for my yellows that I use for both. You know, I'd use it for Crushed Curry and for Daffodil Delight. I would use it for all my yellows. I would use this for all my oranges, like Mango Melody. So just why I have different ones. But you get a pack of 3 and you can use them for all your colors. Okay, let's go ahead and do Crushed, or we'll do Mossy Meadow and then Crushed Curry. Close this pumpkin pie. For now, we're going to be using it again later. I'm just seeing which one of these I can use for Mossy Meadow. I'm thinking this was my pool party one. We'll use that one for Mossy Meadow. Wipe off your stamping block so you don't mix the colors of ink together. Using my t-shirt to get it to dry. Okay, Mossy Meadow. See, there's not much ink on that one. Oh, but it's still dark. So we'll go ahead and do that side. Okay, I think my whole table's shaking. I put that a little close to my table. Hopefully you can see that. All right, good. And lastly, Crushed Curry. Hardly any ink on that one. Time to re-ink my Crushed Curry. Let's go ahead and get this off so we can see how much. I'm just getting off the Mossy Meadow so I can see. There's hardly any ink on that. Okay, that's a little better. And we'll use this one for Crushed Curry. Oh, more than I thought. Tap, tap, tap. All right. So now we have a card background where we took the Rustic Harvest Designer Series paper. That's a before and an after. Or here, a before and an after. So you could leave it like this. It's pretty cool. But look how much better it is when you color it. So that's how we get this background for this card. And maybe we'll put that together at the end. But let's keep moving on. I kind of show you how to tie this. I have to use some gold twine today. All right, now we have this little twine. We'll do the twine and we'll do the little piece of Mossy Meadows. The Mossy Meadow is something that was in the clearance section recently. I think it might still be. And it's this braided trim. It's pretty cool. So you use that and twine for your leaves. And I also grabbed out, I thought this would look cool, the little gingham for a couple of these too. For that card with the pumpkin, I thought gingham would also look cool. So either way, it's like when you're going to put the bigger piece kind of through first. And I'll get the little piece of Mossy Meadow for a couple of these. And I'm out of the linen thread. So that's why I'm using this gold one. It's still linen, but it's like gold linen. And I got it from there was a sweet like Forever Greenery a little while back. And it kind of unfrays, which is cool. It's cool how it does that, but you don't want it to do it too early. You want to get it through the hole first. So it's pretty neat. We're going to put that through there. And the linen thread, you could do this too. You can get it to unfray. Okay, so we'll like unfray it in a minute. See, it's unfraying prematurely here. So I want to get this part to tie the bow with. And then this part, I just wanted that little piece to stick through, the little gingham cottage piece. Or gingham, is it gingham? Gingham ribbon. Probably not that big of a piece of gingham ribbon. But this is what I did with the braided the braided trim as well, the Mossy Meadow. Okay, so I put the little piece of gingham through there like that. I'm just going to leave it sort of hanging out the side. It probably doesn't need to be that wide. And now I'm taking this piece of gold linen, like you would use your linen thread. That's the one available in our catalog. It's $5, I think, and it's like woven linen thread. I think I grabbed out a bunch of examples too of what you can make with cards which use this linen thread, because I have so many ideas from my swaps of really brilliant ways that they used linen thread on their cards. So you want to just add that extra texture and dimension by double knotting this. And then after you make your little bow and you can double knot your bow, then you can unfray the ends, and then you have some like really cool textures. Okay, I'm going to double knot this only because I don't usually double knot the one that's regular linen because it stays, but this one is very slippery, this gold one. So I have to double knot it a little bit. I'm going to pull that a little bit tighter before I do my finished double knot. Ooh la la. And now, this one's a hot mess on that side, so we're going to just, here. Okay, so now that we have the ends, check this out. You could do this to lots of different ribbons. You're just going to untwist it. See that? And you can have that like a cool frayed look at the end of your ribbons. And I don't think I need, again, I'm going to keep cutting this gingham down. I don't think it needs to be that wide. So you have this really cool effect on your couple layers of ribbon and thread. And you could see how I did it with this one earlier with the braided. We did that in the series Mossy Meadow with the other linen thread. So you can see, just I'm taking a ribbon. I'm taking a ribbon first, going through there. Then I'm taking a piece of linen, or this isn't linen, this is gold, but you would use your linen thread. Then you're going to tie a double knot, and then you're going to unfray the ends, and you have that cool look and effect. All right, so good. Now we need a little piece of gold or anything there. It doesn't have to be gold. I think that would look cute too. We could use a piece of crushed curry. I'm just grabbing whatever's within reach of my table here. I'm just going to get that little inch piece. I'm thinking it's an inch, but we'll try it. See if it isn't. So 1 inch by 4 inches. This is just another way of layering up your card. Could be 1 1/4 inches. Nope, it's 1 inch. Good. And you're going to get your Seal Plus adhesive. Put that on there. All right, and depending on which side you want to be the top and the bottom, let's see. The pumpkin pie is up on the top right, so this time I'm going to put the Cajun craze on the top right. As far as the colors go, just to change it up. Put that 1 inch by 4 inch strip, so now you have that extra layer. And now you're going to pop this one up with dimensionals. Not too high, just like you can use mini dimensionals, kind of put it like that in the middle of your card. I just happen to have these little mini dimensionals handy from my paper pumpkin kit, but I want them to be kind of big dimensionals, so I'm flipping them over and using like the edges of them so I get the bigger ends. Don't ever waste the sides of your dimensionals. You want to have extra money for craft supplies, right? So you want to get the most of your dimensional packs. And we make black dimensionals as well if you don't want like the white parts to stick out on your shaker cards. All right, let's see how I did this. Somewhat like that. I'd like a little bit of an angle. Ooh la la. And then I have those metallic. Well, I wouldn't put those on until I put this onto the card base, because the reason is you don't want to, when you try to put adhesive on the back of this, I probably should have put this part on last as well, because it's going to pop up when you put the adhesive on the back. You definitely don't want to put your gems on until you mounted your card onto a card base. Merry Merlot would be nice, or Mossy Meadow. Let's check them both out. Let's see how they open first. Okay, that one opens that way. Let's see if this opens vertically. I like vertical cards. Okay, we're going to do that. We're going to do the Merry Merlot because it is one of the coordinating colors. Ooh la la. Only because I already have the card base made and we have other crafting to do. We still have the pumpkin card. So we're just going to use that card base I already have made. I probably should have used one of the 4 colors from the ink, but hey, so we're still using one of the colors from the Rustic Harvest. It's a fall color. Let's put that in there. See what I'm doing? I'm just putting that little. So this was 5 1/4 by 4. This card layer, and now I could put on these little gems. So I just do 3 of those. I like to put them sort of, let's see. I like to put them in the middle of some of the leaves if I can. See, I like to use odd numbers. So we'll put one up there. And then we got a couple small ones. Let's see. I'll do a big one over here because it's a big empty spot. We'll put one there. So we have 2 big ones, and we have a gold and a bronze or a copper, whatever. And this is like what? The color pewter. It's just such a weird name for a color. Okay, we're going to put that over here. And so there you go. So an odd number of those little gems, and that card is finished. Okay, so that's how we do that card. Now for this card, we're going to tie the linen in the back, and people have been asking me about this a lot. They're like, oh, I never thought about using the linen in the back of the card like that. So we're going to go ahead and do that for that card. And we're going to use this really cool piece of designer series paper. So we've made one card. Now we're going to make a card. Let's move that out of the way. Just moving some things out of the way. We're going to get my trimmer, and we're going to make 4 inches. We're going to make this 4 inches wide. Okay. And you want to keep in mind, though, that you want this, like, say you want this butterfly to be part of your card. Like, this would be cool to have this as part of your card. So let's flip it over this way and see if we can get that in when we go 4 inches wide. Yeah, and we can. So we want that. Say if we want these butterflies, we're not going to get the 4 inches this way. We're going to cut it this way so we can get those butterflies in the card. And it looks like we've embossed them with white embossing powder. That's what's really cool about it. Now, we want them to be, that was 4 inches wide. We want this to be 5 1/4. So first, let's make sure we don't cut off the butterflies. And then we'll worry about the 5 1/4. So now we have the top part of the card, right? These are just tips when you're cutting your paper. Now we get the 5 1/4, and we haven't lost our butterflies. See, so we can get rid of the bottom part all we want. Okay? And we have the 5 1/4. We have our butterflies. And again, I'm using what I have because this is the piece I have. And we're going to do the crisscross applesauce kind of thing. So we're going to go around the card. So what I do, this is how I do it. Get this piece of linen thread. You're going to be using whatever you have, your linen thread. And we're going to be tying it around the back of the card like this. Okay, so we want the crisscross. So we need to tape it down or use our snail to get the one side, or it's called Seal Plus, to stay. So I want this to kind of go around. So what I need to do is turn this over, right, like this. But I don't want it to be like super bulky because it's a piece of linen. So a better way of, instead of using tape and making it bulky, is just to take a piece of your Seal Plus like that, your adhesive, and making it stick that way. Okay, so you have that stick on the back. Now you're going to go across. So you're going to go at an angle like that. And then you're going to go around, down. Sorry, is it down like that? Nope, sorry. Across, and you just go across the top like that in the back. You're only crisscrossing in the front, so the back's going to be straight. And then down. We'll show you the front and back again in a second, like that, down. And then over. And what I like to do, this is my, I like to tie the backs together. But in this case, I'm just going to use this. I usually like to tie a knot in the back of the card, but in this case, I don't have a lot of this stuff left. So we're just going to, you could tie a knot in the back of the card so it stays and doesn't slip away. But I'll show you a couple other ways to keep it from slipping away. You could use washi tape. You could use this tape we've been using for die cutting. Here, something like this. So keep it from slipping away. This is really flat tape. Scotch tape, washi tape. Okay, so then it keeps it from slipping away. But if you want, you could tie a knot in the back and it will never slip away. So that's the front of your card with that cool layer, right? This is what I'm calling a layer. Remember how we just used a layer over here? I said, oh, use a layer. We used a layer of designer series paper. Well, this time we're still using a layer, but the layer is made of thread, linen thread. So that's how you're going to put that onto that card. And let's see what we're going to mount it onto. Let's see if I have a vertical. See if this one's vertical. This one's horizontal. It's all good. It's all good. We have some paper here. Let's see what color we can make this. This is early espresso. I'm not thinking that's that fun of a color for this kind of card. But let me do one that we can use for both the next two cards. So I think the pumpkin card would look cool with the pumpkin pie. Could do that. Or just get a crushed curry or something. Let's see. Okay, Mossy Meadow would be too much Mossy Meadow. Okay, here, Cajun Craze. We're going to use Cajun Craze for the back of this, and we're going to use it for the back of this because look how well it goes with both. And I say using it twice because I'm showing you how to make two cards from one piece of cardstock. So turn your cardstock. This cardstock's 8.5 by 11. I'm going to do this part a little bit faster than normal to get us through here. So this is 8.5 by 11. We're turning it across at 11, going 5.5, scoring it halfway down with the Simply Scored. And then we're going to go ahead and cut it 4.25, and we have two cards that way. Hitchhiker, get out of there. Okay, 4.25, down. Two cards out of one 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. We can use these for our next two projects. Well, actually, we'll use this for one project. I forgot that we need this one to be going the other way. So for that card, we'll probably use this Merry Merlot for our gingham pumpkin card because it's going in the right direction. But either way, I showed you how to get two cards out of one piece of cardstock. Or we may even not get to the final stage of putting it together, but you get the idea. And if you would have done, so you would do it the opposite for making that other kind of card. So for this one, we would have turned it sideways and scored at 4.25, and then we would turn it and we'd have the card that way. So I've done both of these things in our workshop series. I'm just going and put some of these cards away. I have a lot more Rustic Harvest cards to make from all the little extra pieces. I bought one more pack of paper, not too much because I'm working on some swaps for an event I'm going to in Jacksonville. So I just wanted to finish up my Thanksgiving cards, and then I'm working on a whole new project. And you should be seeing a new card class coming out for me as a result. I really documented the process like intensely, where if you think I do a lot on YouTube, it's way more detailed than that. Okay, here we go. So that's how we're going to get that on there. Looks good. You're going to get your Seal Plus. Put that on the back of your card. Right over the top, but hold your finger there when you get it over the top of the linen so you don't make the linen slip away. Now, I say to use linen threads and things because they're not very bulky for putting around the back. I wouldn't do a ribbon crisscross the same way unless I was going to pop this whole thing up with dimensionals, because then I'd get like a bumpy card. Ribbon is more bulky, but these threads work well for this. Okay, so now we have that. And we're going to use this one this time, the one I told you about that's on clearance, that should still be on clearance because it seems like it's been there forever. I really wish we'd refresh our clearance section, but that's another story for another time. Okay, let's find. We did have some exciting sales. I was very happy with those of you who took advantage of the free shipping day. That was pretty cool. I'm just looking at which one will look better. Okay, let's see. This one's kind of translucent, and that one's really thick, so I think I'm going to use the thick one. And I think I'm going to use the translucent one for that pumpkin card. More rustic look. So you put this little piece behind there. Okay, like so. And we're going to unfray it in a minute. You first want to get it in there. You want this to tie around it so it doesn't slip out. But anyway, I will be writing you if you took advantage of the free shipping day, and I'll be writing you a thank you this weekend. That was a cool sale. So it's just that we do have cool sales, but we could be cooler. Clearance sales would be cooler. I'm going to put that in my sandbox, which is like our suggestion box at Stampin' Up. All right, so I'm tying. I probably didn't need that much ribbon or that much thread. I'm tying that double knot. It'll keep that thing from slipping. It'll keep the little keep this little Mossy Meadow from slipping away. And also what'll keep it from slipping away is when I unfray them, like so that they're thicker. They can't slip through the hole when you puff them out. And then I'm doing that double knot again. I like when you all craft along with me, and then I feel like I'm not by myself here. You're making comments and saying hello to each other. It's nice because I'm starting to see like the same crafty friends coming to my tutorials over and over, which is really, I appreciate that. Okay, we're going to double knot that. Okay, pull that through a little. I'm only double knotting it because it's gold, and if you have some of this in your stash, because I know my team does, we keep retired things and kind of like from before. You might have some of the stuff in your stash, so hopefully you can use that too. And I'm just going to trim that down a little bit and then unfray it. But first I want to unfray the Mossy Meadow side because it looks like it's going to slip otherwise. Ooh, see, it was already slipping. And when you unfray it on both sides, it shouldn't slip. It doesn't usually slip as much with the linen thread. So what we're going to do is put a little piece of, so because it's slipping away, you get a little piece of tape. Oh, you know what? I probably didn't get that's because I didn't tie the linen around it like I should have. I thought I was tying it around the Mossy Meadow. See, we can problem solve on the fly here as crafters. We don't have to worry about little things. We just fix them. All right, so we unfray the ribbon, and then we unfray the gold one. And then we put that on our card, and we have a really cool card with a few of those little gems again. Those little metallic. I honestly forgot what they're called. I'm calling them blobs, but somebody can say what they're called. Oh, here, maybe it says it on the back. Nope. I take the reason they're in this little section is because when I do my kits, I always like divide up. I tried to divide up instead of giving you like one pack of one embellishment, and then we're stuck using that for the whole series. I give you like 5 different embellishments that you can use for the series. So that's why there's like a little bit left over from from the ones I shared. But just due to time, I may be doing something a little different with my kits in the future and doing more full products inside there. But either way, my kits are pretty epic. This one we didn't have a kit for, but because I wanted you to have enough resources to get that whole suite. And many of you did, that way you had enough in your budget to get the embossing tools and things. All right, we're putting that on there. Ooh la la. See, we just transform a little piece of designer series paper that's with a beautiful background. We transform it by adding that little thread, and there's extra layers, a few little gems. Okay, let's put one of these little ones up there. So we have the copper, now we need the gold. We'll put the gold over here. Then we need the pewter. Put one of those over there. We have our 3, so good, now we've done 2 cards. Done and done. So we have 2 of these. Okay. Okay, 2 of these. And it's time for some die cutting and some pumpkin fun. All right, so now, for that one, we're going to go ahead and put a piece. I'm just going to do this part while I have my trimmer right here. Okay, this is the back of that. So we're taking a piece of the Mossy Meadow for the back of our pumpkin card, and we're just going to go ahead and make that. We'll do 5 1/4 this way. It's like my blade flew somewhere. Where did my blade go? Well, since my blade is missing, you'll get to see how to put another blade on there. Okay, so to put a new blade on your trimmer when you're just randomly flies across the room, you're going to take your pack of 4 replacement blades for your trimmer. I save the old blades too, for whatever reason, because maybe I'm cutting glitter paper. I do save my old blades for a little while till they fall apart. But my new blades, I keep them in this little plastic thing until I'm ready to use them. That way I know that they're a new blade. Then I take it and the arrow goes up. And when I say up, I'm talking about the Stampin' Up logo is down there, so this is facing up. There's a little notch inside here that's bigger than around the surrounding area, and you're just placing this blade into the notch, and that's it. That's how you replace your blade. It has to go in that notch. And you get nice sharp edges. And so we just did the 5 1/4 part, and now we do 4. That's the size of and I'm going to do 3 at once, because that's how I roll. Right, and we have some for our little pouch here. so I could do these later. And we're going to pull out, what do we say? We're going to just use Mary Merlot for the next card, only because I don't think these were going horizontally. Oh, no, this was going the right way, but I wasn't sure how the Mossy Meadow was going to look on it. So what do you guys think? Mossy Meadow on Mossy Meadow. So just say if you think the Mossy Meadow card base would look better, or this one's going the right way, or Mary Merlot. So Mossy Meadow or Mary Merlot. This looks cool because of the contrast, but this also looks pretty cool. So what do you think? Let me go ahead and look at the comments. First one who votes gets to pick which card base. And then I can clear off the deck and make like a pumpkin, sort of. But either way, I'm going to go ahead and put the adhesive on it. We're ready to go. Okay, Anne is the first one to vote. So Anne, Mossy Meadow. Okay, we're putting the Mossy Meadow on top of the Mossy Meadow. Good. So we're getting our pumpkin card ready is what we're doing. Good. Let's go ahead and put that adhesive. I almost thought it would look like too much, but it actually looks pretty cool. Now we call that like tone on tone. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and build the rest of the card. Now I already have some of these parts made, right? We have this part made. I already have the leaves embossed, so we have this part made. I have some of these little swirls, so we have that part made. So I have these leaves, the swirls, the paper. I'm going to show you about the pumpkin, and we even have parts of the pumpkin made. Actually, I probably have all the parts made, but I need to show you how to do it either way. And I have a little trunk for the pumpkin. Okay, now what I did for this one, I just want to show you how I did it. So this one, what I did is I put the Versamark on it and put the powder on it. And then I forgot that I had powder on it, and I rubbed it off. And this is what it looks like when you put Versamark on there and powder, but you don't heat set it. And you just rub off the powder. And the powder falls off. That looks cool, right? It looks cool. Then what you do is you can make another layer of the craft ink, right? Craft white ink, and then clear embossing powder. That's how I got this shadow effect, is with one of those. So I saved that for you to show you that shadow effect. So we will go ahead and do this little part. I'm thinking I'm using the gingham for this because I think the gingham looks cool. So we're going to go ahead and do this part with the pumpkin. We have the leaves embossed. Then I can clear my area here. We don't need the trimmer anymore. And what else don't we need? Let's see. Oh, we need the Versamark, the plain Versamark, because that's going to help us give some texture to our pumpkin. And the Rustic pumpkin dies. That's what we need. So this is going to push this through. This is, let's see how I can get that through there. Come on, go through. This linen thread's a hot mess because it's like all already unfraying, which is why you have to put that tape around the edges of it. Come on through. Come on through. Oh my goodness. Get in there. Okay, now you fell out, but at least you're in there. Okay, at least I got this one in there. Now this one can go in afterwards. I like that they gave us these tags because these holes are perfect size for making tags, and I really like how. So this time I'm going to make sure it's around the back of the, good. This time when I tie the knot, make sure your knot is around the ribbon, like around the back of the gingham, or the gingham will slip off. So just so you could see that, the double knot. Okay, my little thread is on its last leg. It's already about to unfray. So I'm just going to go ahead and double knot it before it frays all over the place. I'm afraid not. Oh, everybody gets my crafting jokes. Well, everyone here, nobody else. Okay. Okay, let's put that there. All right, and now we can just see how that side's already, look, it's already frayed. It looks awesome. And now I'm just gonna go ahead and trim that down and just unfray that other side. I like how it unfrays, but not before I tie it up. I'm just gonna untwist it. And then it just sort of frays all over the place. It's so cool. And that's gonna go nice with those tendrils of the pumpkin. You know how the pumpkin tendrils are all like gold with the gold paper. All right. Let's see. All right, I'm happy with that. So we're going to go ahead and stick that on there because we're right here and we can get that part of the card done. Okay, so we'll just get that. Flip it over, flip it over. Oops, that's staying. I guess that dimensional staying where it's at. Okay, you're probably like, why is she using so many dimensionals? Because I like my pumpkin to have some dimension. So we're going to put those, my leaves. So what we're doing is putting this card together as we go. Okay, so that goes up here. Good. And then we can do one of our leaves. We're going to be putting one up there, but we need to wait for our pumpkin for that leaf. And we've already done, just so you know, we've done the copper embossing powder for this. That's how we got all these leaves. And I always tell you to make your bucket of crafty goodness. This is my bucket, where you have lots of extra little pieces. You don't have to be reinventing the wheel every time you need to create a card. And when I'm all done this series, I put this all in a bag with the rest of my designer series paper, which is in a pouch that I get from Hobby Lobby, made by the Paper Studio. And that's how I keep all my paper stored, with some extra scraps of cardstock that go along with that. And then I'm ready to go. Next time I want to make a quick rustic pumpkin card. I'm not sure, maybe it could even be a sympathy card if I don't use the word hello, but I have all the little pieces to go ahead and make the rest of the stuff I need. All right, so that leaf's ready to go. I don't need the trimmer. I just need my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, which is right here. And I can get rid of some of these things. Okay, wait, we can't get rid of these yet. We need the one so keep the one that's the pumpkin pie one. Keep your pumpkin pie blending brush, if you're crafting along with me. Okay, keep your pumpkin pie ink out. Get rid of you don't need a trimmer. You just need your die cutting machine. Okay, raise this up. Sorry, it's going to be shaking for a moment. Like that, so you can see the whole sandwich. Okay, so here's the... During the last tutorial, I showed you what the new set of plates will look like, too. This is what almost a brand new set of plates look like. We're going to go ahead and use the duller one. So to make the sandwich, it's the plate number 1, right? And then it's the plate number 2, which is this is your die cutting sandwich, your plate number 2, which is your thin die adapter. And then you're going to use one of the plate number 3s. And then for the top of your sandwich, another plate number 3. But you also get, when you purchase this machine, which I recommend during the month of October to get with our awesome starter kit special, you also get this really cool plate for embossing as well. Okay. I'm looking all over for my pumpkin dies. Excuse me while I look for my pumpkin dies. Okay, I know they couldn't have been far. So we're gonna open up the rustic pumpkin dies. And we want the little ones that are like, this. Okay, this is how we're making our pumpkin. So we want this piece and this piece. Wait till you see how cool these dies are. Okay, and I already have the little trunk of the pumpkin, so I already have that made with a different color. But you would also use this piece. Now what you want to do is take your Versamark ink out. And we're going to go ahead and look at the other pumpkin card. So I think I used the smaller pumpkin. Yeah, I used the smaller piece for the middle. So we're going to take this little piece this is called Gingham Cottage. So we're making the Gingham Cottage pumpkin. That's what we're doing. So you're going to put your little gingham cottage piece there. And we're going to take these and we're going to dip these into Versamark ink. It just adds texture. We did this earlier with our pumpkin pie pumpkins, but now we're doing it with these pumpkins. Okay? It might not seem like much, but it's just that extra little bit of texture. I'm going to put that in there. Now these are dies which emboss and cut at the same time. And then put the top lid on there. And we're going to roll it through. Now you can heat emboss this if you want, to really let that sit in, but you could see how it added texture just by putting that Versamark on there. And here, let's go ahead and, I'm just going to go ahead and heat set both at once. See if we can get them both in there from our, here, something like that. I mean, you don't really need to heat set, it's just Versamark ink, but just to heat set it a little bit. Okay, so you have your texture from being the pumpkin from this side, and then you have your texture from your little pattern of paper. So it's just such a cool pumpkin. And let's see if we already have the other pieces we need. I think we need one of the, yeah, we already have the other pieces we need, which is this pumpkin, which I did earlier, okay? But let me go ahead and show you how to ink around the edges and stuff. So we're done with the die cutting, believe it or not, because I already have the tendrils made, and, you know, because of the time and everything. So what you want to do is take, I've already done it to this one. You want to take, so you want to get, for this pumpkin, you need a piece of this, a piece of this, and a piece of this. This is how you're making, I call it my fat little pumpkin. Okay, so you need these pieces to make your pumpkin. I thought you would need a bunch of these when I first was experimenting. That's why I made a lot of extras of those, but I didn't really need them. I needed this size, believe it or not, to make this kind of pumpkin. It doesn't look like it makes sense yet, but it will. So you're going to get your little blending brush, and you're going to just ink around your edges for dimension. Let's see if I think we still have some crushed curry on there. And we got some pumpkin pie. Dip, 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 tap, tap, tap. Okay, now you're going to just go around the edges of your pumpkin. Just these sides. Don't worry about the middle, because we're not going to see the middle. Okay. I'm just going to leave the camera raised anyway, because I have so many projects to show you after I clear this and say hello to you guys. So those of you who are still here, I will say hello. We're going to do the around the edges here. I had the die-hard crafters still with me, right? They're the ones that stick around to the very end, because you never know what we'll be up to. Okay, so I'm doing around the edges, and then I've already done it around, you know, the edge of this pumpkin a little bit. Okay, so to layer our pumpkin, we're going to cut these pieces. Or no, this piece we don't have to cut. We can put that piece just like that. We don't have to cut that piece. But we have to cut this piece. Okay, hope you're tracking. And we're going to cut this piece in half and put it and layer it behind those pieces, like so. So we need our dimensionals again. And I'm thinking just a couple glue dots to hold it in place. So like just for this part, I'm just going to do a couple of glue dots on the side and then use dimensionals, because we just want to hold it in place while I'm trying to get the dimensionals on there. A glue dot on the edge and a glue dot on the edge would be fine. Then I can use dimensionals to kind of keep it together. All right, and I can even use a little bit of this. Little bit of this, little bit of that. I basically want these little pumpkin parts to stay on the side. So what I did is I put a little bit of glue dot or whatever, Seal Plus, and you want to get your pumpkin back there like this. Your piece of your pumpkin. Hide the adhesive. Because if you just make a skinny pumpkin with just this piece, right, I think it's too skinny of a pumpkin. That's why I've been doing my pumpkins with the extra pieces on the back. But it doesn't take much extra die cutting. So I'm calling this my gingham pumpkin card. There you go. And that piece is just like this. And I'm only going to pop up the middle, this front piece with dimensionals. So, and then I'll pop up the whole back. But I'm saying these pieces can just lay next to each other. I'll pop up the top piece with dimensionals, and then the whole thing with dimensionals, but not too many. Not too many. I didn't want to pop up every single layer of the pumpkin because then it's hard to kind of get in an envelope. We already got knots and ribbon or twine, ribbon. Okay, so that one goes like that, and then I'm going to get glue for the little trunk of the pumpkin. So we can use, well, normally I like the Mossy Meadow trunk of the pumpkin, but not for this one because for this one, this card, you don't want to put Mossy Meadow on top of a Mossy Meadow background. It would blend right in. You couldn't see it. So if we were going to use, we're going to use the piece that's, I'm just going to see whatever ink is on my finger here, and if I can rub a little bit on there. There we go. Just to get out that little bit of texture. Ooh la la. You can use crumb cake too. This is a crumb cake piece, but I'm just rubbing pumpkin pie on the crumb cake to make the trunk stand out. But anyway, then you put glue on that one, or a glue dot. You want to put something on the bottom of the little trunk of your pumpkin. Okay, a couple glue dots. I'm just hiding this behind the top of the pumpkin before I put all the dimensionals on it. So put a couple glue dots on there and then hide it. Tuck it way down under. You have to get way down there to get it to hide. In fact, sometimes I even have to, I don't know why they put it so wide, but like I just sometimes trim off the edges just to get that part not to stick out. So get it way down there to hide it. Okay, got a hitchhiker. That's a hitchhiker piece. Okay. Okay, so that's that. And then you got your little tendrils. So let's find our card and finish assembling it with our dimensionals. There we go. We're right back there to where we have. So we've made 3 cards today. What a fun conclusion of this series, making 3 cards, because I really wanted to move on to the Christmas cards. But, time gets the best of you. So I said, okay, let me just put all 3 cards in one video. I would never do this on Facebook because my viewers there are like little squirrels. Oh, something else is playing over there. Got to go over there. I'm like a little squirrel. Who am I kidding? Okay, let's put that there. But on YouTube, you tend to be more dedicated and watch the whole thing. All right, so let's put that there and the little leaf back there. I had a different leaf, but that I think looked a little better. Oh, and everything probably spilled out. Okay, we're going to grab those. We have the bottom piece. We have this. We just find that other leaf. I'll just use the leaf I just had. Shake, shake, shake. Oh, here's one. It just seems to be like an uneven leaf. And I know I had one that was a little bit more even. And you guys are probably like, I see it. It's right there. It's okay, because I'm cleaning off the deck to show you all the rest of my projects anyway, so I might find it. I might find it here. There it is. See? I told you I'd find it. Whenever I start cleaning up, I find things. So we're going to get rid of these little pieces. What I'm about to do is show you all my projects, so I'm cleaning off the deck. So we've already cleared off this part, right? So we can just stick this right on there with a couple of those little tendrils, which we've already used the adhesive sheets on. So we're putting that leaf behind the pumpkin, like so. We're going to go find our original card like that. What I try to do is when I show you a thumbnail of like what I'm going to show you in the YouTube video, I try to make another one sort of like it, right? But no 2 cards are ever exactly like. And then we get these little tendrils are created with adhesive sheets. So that means that I could peel them. They're like little stickers, in theory. Sometimes I can't get them out. Well, let's see if we can't find one that is like a sticker. But you saw me make these. In this series, we talked about using adhesive sheets and making stickers. Look at that beautiful piece. There we go. And then there should be there's one little piece sticking it. There we go. I love these little pumpkin tendrils. Ooh la la. And all these little extra gold accents, they really make a difference. And we'll still use some more. We'll use some more bling at the same time. So for the tendrils, I tend to use 1, 2, or 3 tendrils. It doesn't really matter. And then for the bling, I tend to use 3 or odd numbers. If you don't use 3, I use 5 or 7. And looks like a little hitchhiker bling. We'll just use that one. Here, we'll use this one right there because it's already on my finger. And sometimes the adhesive, okay, so we'll put that there. All these little finishing touches make your card look way more professional. And I talk a lot about that in my classes, just adding extra layers, adding extra bling and dimension. And now we have done our gingham pumpkin card with some more of those embellishments. And we have done, this is part 7, we have done this card. You learned embossing techniques, card making techniques, ways to use linen, all kinds of stuff. And now I know you want to see what we made in this entire series, including all my finished sticky note holders from last time. So I will lower this a little bit. Get rid of some things on there. I have to lower it only because I know it looks better when it's higher as far as from my viewer's point of view. However, from my point of view, I can't read your comments unless I lower it because it has to be below my eyes. So hello, Linda from ScanNCut and Create. And Yvonne, thank you for watching me in this late night crafting session. Hello, Lynn. Melissa from Texas. Janet. Another one of my team members. Linda and Janet are on my team. And Yvonne. Hello, Melissa. Hello, Dawn. Anne. Bowen. Nita. Kathy. I hope I said that right. Nita. Yeah, I like that, the way you spell it too. Malo, John, Kathy, Beth. All right, I'm not going to get to read all the different ones, but hello, Kim from South Africa. I'll read them later. Bowen, again, Hilda, Kathy, Anne. Oh, we got a couple of different Kathys here. All right. So, yeah, I'll finish all this. I'll finish reading all these later because whoa, I'm only halfway through. And I see that you guys made lots of comments. And so Robin from Dallas. So what I want to show you is this was part 7 of the Rustic Harvest Workshop series. And in this series, we created lots of different things. And what I'm doing is just clearing off a space so I could show you what we made in this series. So during part 6, we created these sticky note holders. Each one was a little bit different. After the video was over, I went ahead and finished a bunch of sticky note holders because I'm giving them out at an event I'm going to in Jacksonville next month. And it's in Florida, so there's going to be some, say you have a roommate or you have like a table mate or a crafty friend you haven't seen in a while. You give them 3D projects. It's not really a 3D swap because for my swap, I'm actually doing something with nature's prints. But for this, it's more of like you see your friends and you can give them little 3D items. So that's what I'm doing. So my team's going to be there. Linda is there from ScanNCut and Create. She's on my team. She's going to be there with me, the Papered Chefs. And then we all belong to a group, my uplines team called the Beehive, and they're going to be there. They're our Stampin' sisters we have all the same upline. So we're all going to be together, and I'm going to be giving out some of these. So Linda, act surprised, right? As the saying goes. Act surprised when you see your sticky note holder. And you can see I used black, Mossy Meadow, Early Espresso, and Cajun Craze. Okay, so to make those, because they're all part of the coordinating colors. All right, so that was part 6. Now, the other cards now I'm going to show you are just different projects and cards I created throughout the series. But I'll try to work backwards. Like in part 5, we did these sunflower cards. And I showed you in part 5 how to create, hey, we did use tone on tone. There's that Mossy Meadow combination we used today. So that did look good. See? You guys remembered that. Okay, so we used the blending brush for this technique. A blender pen to color the sunflowers, right? So you dip your blender pen into the stamping pad, and then you color that way. So I showed you how to use copper embossing powder for these cards, these sunflower cards. And we did lots of die cutting. We did coloring, layering, and all that jazz. Okay, so that was part 4. And then see what we did in part 3. This one was part 2. Okay, it doesn't matter which part we did it in. Let me just show you the rest of the cards. These, I was just showing you this technique throughout the series of, this is using Winkostella and how we made these copper leaves. Here's one we didn't make together, but I just wanted to show you what clear embossing powder looks like. Okay, this one we made in part 1. It was me showing you how to cut out the banner, how to color the paper, background of the paper. Okay. Now this is the one that was my favorite. This was my favorite. It didn't get voted the most favorite. There is a poll here on YouTube, so keep voting on my poll of which card you like better, this card or my pumpkin card. And this card won so far, but I like the embossed background better. All right, so this one is just another technique of showing you how to use pieces of designer series paper in that banner. This was again from part 1, showing you how to make this layer. So it's very similar to part 1, but this one I just used an extra piece of gold behind it. All right, then I think the part before this, I think part 3 was when we did these boxes. Could have been part 4. I showed you how to make these boxes, and these are treat boxes. Haha. Okay. Mike, I just found your milk duds. He's been looking all over the house for these. All right. Put that in there. Because we ate them out of the Halloween bowl. Okay, no milk duds in that one. But this box, I showed you how to use the different measurements. We started with close to 6x6 paper, black cardstock. And then we did a little bit smaller than 6x6, and we did the tops. Okay, no milk duds in that one. But these hold a lot of treats. So these are nice little fall treat boxes. And we did lots of 3D items in this series. Now, this is called the emboss resist technique. I don't know, this technique never gets old for me. You're using just clear embossing powder. You're just stamping your invisible Versamark ink all over the background of a piece of basic white cardstock. And then you're just putting clear embossing powder over it, and that's it. Then you heat it up, and then you start putting ink on the paper, and it resists these, but sticks to the part of the plain paper. But it resists anywhere where there's clear embossing powder. So this was my favorite card through the series. I always have a favorite. And then in part 1, I showed you with the loveliest day, we did this, but we also did in part 1 these diaper fold treats. I'll show you in a minute. But this was, I think these 3D pumpkins were part 2, and they're related to what we just made now. So in part 2, you can go back and watch how we made these pumpkin cards. But it's the same way as we just made this pumpkin card. Except I like the one from today better. It's a little fatter. Yeah. Either way, you got the cool, well, maybe this one. Maybe that pumpkin looks more realistic. I don't know. What do you guys like better, the gingham pumpkin or the pumpkin pie pumpkin? Oh, this one looks better. That one's more like realistic. So do you like the gingham pumpkin, gingham cottage pumpkin, or just say gingham pumpkin, or the pumpkin pie pumpkin? All right, so these are the pumpkin cards we made, and we used a punch for that, modified it a little bit. These are all sentiments, and I showed you how to color the background, that are in our stamp set. So all the sentiments I use, like hello, wishing you the loveliest day, and you are such a blessing, are all part of the Rustic Harvest stamp set. Okay, gingham, pumpkin pie. Okay, good. Different votes for different ones. Hi, Barbara. Thank you for voting. Yeah, gingham because it's different. Now these are the we call diaper folds. I'll also probably bring these to on stage. It's a Stampin' Up event, and then like if somebody starts handing me a 3D swap. So like say I'm swapping cards with them, and they're like, oh, I have a 3D item, and they pull out like when I was in the one in France, like this lady from Germany pulled out this like branch. I'm not kidding, like a piece of wood with like owls sitting on it and all these foliage that she die cut. It was like this giant mantelpiece, and I was like, oh, here's my card. But anyway, it doesn't matter because we're not Stampin' snobs. We appreciate whatever we get from anybody, right? But she went over the top, so I would like give her an extra swap. I'd be like, here you go, here's an extra thing. So I'm bringing those with me. And then this one here is in my fall projects course, where I made in my fall projects course. Let's see, this one. I showed you how to make these tag treats using, there you go, I'm gonna put that there. Put that there. Using the Rustic Harvest paper. So this one I designed from scratch using Canvas Workspace is what I was trying to say. Canvas Workspace showed you how to cut and score this, and you can make these. I made a whole basket of these for the series, the Fall Projects course. So hope you enjoyed this series, and we'll give your Rustic or Hello Harvest stamp set. I kept calling it Rustic Harvest. Give your Hello Harvest stamp set some love as you create all of these things with it. And remember, this one, we haven't used You Are So Missed, but it doesn't matter. You can still use that on any of the cards that we use. So mix and match your sentiments and all the techniques I showed you. Well, that's all for now. Thank you for sticking around with me. This is the Papered Chef. And for those of you that stuck around, I told you I'd show you something you can make with linen that has nothing to do with this. And I just pulled those out right before this just to show you something. So real quick, we're going to do that. And this is just real quick. I'm not showing you all of these, but I talked about the linen thread. So you could put it behind a card like this, your linen thread. This is what we did in our last series. You could tie it up like this, little bows behind your card, put it as a strip. These are just layers of linen. You could tie it up behind your Memories and More cards. You can use it to tie a gatefold card. And of course, you could use it to tie up all your treats. So just go ahead and use those linen. And I have more examples, but I'm not going to, just because of the time, I'm not going to show you all the examples. But just start using linen thread on your different cards and it will make a difference between make your card look more professional. That's all for now. This is the Papered Chef. Have a great day.